GM everyone, as you're streaming in slowly but surely. I apologize, we are a little bit late. Praveen and I had a bit of discussions before this. It kind of, you know how it goes with the, we're initially doing mic checks and then balloons into other things. So yeah, I'm glad to have everyone here back with us today. I know it's been a whole week since our last lesson. I hope everyone is still up to date and refreshed, has been caught up with the recordings. I know that the last recording went out a bit late, but hopefully everyone's caught up. Yeah, I hope everyone has caught up with all the recordings. And I think we also just made an announcement on the Discord, at least AO did, on the assignments. We are, due to popular demand and a lot of people questioning it, we are allowing everyone who didn't make the deadlines last time to submit the assignments again. Because we realized there were a lot of people who are unable to make the sessions live due to time commitments, or it's just an inconvenient time. And they asked, hey, I watched the recordings and I would like to submit the assignment, but I'm a bit late. Right. So due to that popular demand and just feedback from the community, we have decided to open up the assignments again. So if you are caught up or you still haven't caught up all the videos, all the recordings are on the Discord. You can go through and watch all the videos. I will try to collate everything into a playlist after this call, just to collate everything a nice little like package for y'all to watch and back to back. I'm not sure how many people will actually watch it back to back because it's like literally like 10 hours worth of footage, 10, 11 hours. But it's been done before. If you'd like to go ahead and try, by all means. Yeah. So as I said, it's been a whole week. Hopefully everyone is caught up. Today we will have Praveen. I know I previously mentioned it would be Neo and Aiden. However, Praveen actually has been the one at Kaia who has been actually working innately on the AI agents. So we felt that it was best for him to give the actual lesson on the topic AI and software engineering, because he's been the one who's been working on AI agents and all the chatbots, everything. He's been working with two previous interns who obviously have went back to school, so they were immense help, but they were like, how summer interns are. So yeah, without further ado, I think I'll hand it off to Praveen. I will still be here in chat, so if you have any questions or anything like that, please feel free to ask them. We also will be having Q&A at the end. However, if it's a question relating to a specific part of the presentation and I see it's convenient enough, I will interrupt Praveen halfway, just to get it in there, because sometimes it's just easier when he's like, especially during the middle of the code or whatever, it's just easier to interrupt him there and then. Like I said, I won't interrupt when he's mid-sentence, so no need to worry, Praveen. I think he's experienced this before. So yeah, without further ado, I think you've heard enough of me rambling along. It could feel as if I'm stalling, but whatever. Enough of me rambling along. I think I'll hand it off to Praveen, who will give you all the rundown on the AI software engineering at Kaia, all the stuff we've been doing as well. So Praveen, please take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. So today we'll go through the AI and software engineering. So we've been hearing about AI a lot these days, especially the image generations that we saw. And also, of course, there are lots of use cases, music, even the personal financing, AI, and also AI agents we keep hearing a lot. And if you have seen, if you are into the Twitter spaces, you can also see lots of Twitter bots which can automatically do bull posting, these kind of stuff. So mainly, I'll try to introduce about some of the tools that we could use in our daily development work, and also we'll go through the AI agents and how to set up, and I'll also show you like what kind of things we were using in Kaya as well. So I'll go through the agenda now. So mainly the agenda will go through the basic SDLC and also what kind of tools, and majorly we'll focus on the AI agents and how to do that. So we all know what's a software development lifecycle is. So like as soon as we have an idea or if a client has an idea, you kind of gather all the requirements, design it, like finally implement with the team, do the testing, and after that you can maintain the product, or you can always like plan for the further enhancements. So now as part of this, how does the AI actually help in the SDLC? So for example, like let's say you have an idea like to develop maybe a contact management or a voting dApp, like last time what we discussed for one of the exercises. Maybe you can go to any of the AI websites. One of we know about the ChatGPT. So maybe you can go there. Let's say you already have an idea for the voting application. So you can ask the AI itself for you to ideate it, like maybe, provide the steps or how to start the dApp. For example, maybe you can say like, I would like to develop voting dApp. Can you provide important steps to proceed? So something like that, if you provide, obviously it will give you the steps that maybe you can proceed, you can follow, and maybe you can consider it when you are developing. For example, maybe requirement phase, and it also tells you you need to develop a smart contract for it, like what kind of functions or the features you can have, and what kind of tools you can use for developing this. Maybe like we discussed, we can use Remix IDE for development of the deployment part for the Solidity, or you can always go for any of the frameworks like Hard Hat or Foundry. And you can also see that you can plan the testing part using any of these libraries and what kind of functions you can cover. And once you have the smart contract development ready, you can focus on the front end development using React with any of the library that we discussed, be it like Web3.js or Ethers. And then you can focus, I mean, if there is any backend, maybe if you have to just focus for any indexing purposes or this kind of stuff, maybe you can have a backend. And finally, how to deploy, how to test it. So as you can see that we have an idea. Now, as soon as you enter this idea into any of these websites, AI websites, it will guide you or it will provide you steps how to proceed and how to make that into a production ready. And suppose, let's say, if you want the exact smart contract code, you can even jump into it and you can ask the AI to write a smart contract code, like write a smart contract code for voting dApp. So of course, it can write a smart contract code for you. Maybe you can also mention like Solidity, or if you already have any features in your mind, you can always mention that. And of course, it will provide you the smart contract code. So in this way, I mean, the code which is generated by the AI, it may or may not be executable sometimes, but at least it will give you an idea. So most of the times it might work. At least it will also give you an idea like how to structure the product. That's the main thing that you can make use of the AI. So like, for example, as we can see here, it generated a smart contract code for you. So it imported all the OpenZeppelin, and then it had the storage variables for registering candidates and the start time, end times, emitting events, modifiers. So you can see all like major functions, registering candidate and maybe like oath. So in this way, you can get an idea of at least what kind of functions to start with. And of course, maybe to enhance or to make it even production ready, you can always treat the AI as one of your companion or one of your co-developers. And you can always discuss with the AI for developing your dApp. So moving on, I think we'll discuss about what kind of tools that we can use in the software development. Of course, there are many, but these are like some of the tools that most of the developers, at least in a company, be using. One is like GitHub Copilot. So basically, this is a AI pair programmer. So it's integrated as a plugin into the Visual Studio Code or any other editors. So as soon as you use that, and when you start writing your program, it will provide you some kind of suggestions to complete the program. So maybe like can go into Visual Studio Code and you can add this plugin. So you can go into this extensions and you can search for Copilot. So as you can see here, you can find an extension here and you can install it. So you need to log in with your GitHub account. So there's a free trial for this. And of course, there's also paid versions. So you can go for any free trial and you can try it out. So you can maybe, let's create some project here. Test. Yeah, and if you have an idea, maybe you can always, like, let's say you want to just have some kind of navbar or anything, maybe you can just type your message in a simple language. So the AI will understand it and provide you a template for that. So maybe you can just type like create a navbar header. I think this should, as soon as you provide this, it should be able to generate the code for you, and you can directly run this program. Should be mostly it should work. But suppose, let's say if there are any bugs, you can also ask that bugs to resolve by the AI itself, and you can actually run the program. So it just generated a basic structure, as you can see, with CSS and some diffs. So when you run this program, so you can see the navbar here. So in this way, so if you already have an idea, or uh, if you know what to do, you can provide those kind of instructions to the these type of editors or these type of tools that you have. So in the similar way, we already know about ChatGPT. You can use ChatGPT for image generations. Also, you can ask a code snippets, or any kind of idea or any kind of implementations. You can ask for ChatGPT so that it can provide you results. So similarly, we have Google Gemini. It also provides you a kind of ChatGPT, and it also provides like APIs and stuff. It's similar to ChatGPT itself. And there's also like Cursor IDE, which is also a development environment where you similar to the Copilot. You can also, like, I think it's a paid version. You can, when you're writing the code, of course, it can understand the entire workspace. Even in the Copilot, also you can always provide the entire workspace, and it understands the context. It understands the code. It can go and refer to the other files that are present in your workspace, and it can write the code for you according to the requirement, whatever you have. So maybe I'll just show like the cursor IDE is just this. You can just download this. Yeah. Similarly, like how I have this. Yeah, maybe you can just go and then the information below header, navbar, something like that. So it's also similar to Copilot, but of course, it's even like understands the code snippets of others. You can also add the content. So like which file, you can also mention line of where you want to exactly, refer to. So as you can see, it's trying to write the code for you, understand the code, write the code for you, and you can always run the code. Let's stop this. Yeah. It also explains to you like how it followed. I mean, you can use the same thing for whichever language you work on, be it like PHP, maybe like Node.js, Python, Golang, anything, be it like anything. It can integrate into that kind of language. It understands the files, and it also provides you the data you ask for, like based on your requirement, it always gives you snippets. Yeah, moving on. I think, yeah, these are some of the editors or like the websites that you can refer to when you're working with the software development. And you also have something called as agent frameworks. So these type of frameworks help you to do like behave like a normal person, like a human itself. It's just a bot. It can behave like a human. You can always provide like a characterization for that bots, and it can act based on the user requests. So like these are some of the open source frameworks like Eliza, LangChain, N8N. So you can always configure these type of agentic frameworks, and you can attach a kind of a behavior for that agent, and it can actually do the things which a normal person can do. I think, yeah, moving on, I think I would like to talk about the AI agents. So basically, AI agents are just a software programs which can, so let's say like this, an agent, it can understand the program, understand the environment. So based on the environment, it just observes, monitors, and then takes the input from the user. So the input could be like plain text, or it could be a PDF or anything. So it can take the inputs, and once it gets the inputs, so now it's kind of do a reasoning out of that for whatever the memory it has. If there is any memory before, it always refers to that memory. And if there is also a knowledge base, it also refers to that. Based on that, it does the reasoning, and based on the goal that you have for the character. So the agent, you can attach a behavior for that. So based on the goal and the behavior of that agent, you can always look for the type of actions it could execute. So let's say you have some set of tools or actions that you have. So based on the goals that particular agent has, it can go and perform that actions. And once it executes that action, it gets a result, and out of that result it tries to relearn, or it tries to learn from the result that it gets, and it just goes on. So this is how the AI agents work. So we think that let's move on. So we have different agent types, agents like multi agent systems. Let's say you have a task, and you know like what's the output should be. So when you give that kind of task to a multi-agent system, it divides that task into subparts and gives that task to different type of agents to actually do the final goal, to reach the final goal. So this is how the multi-agent works. And there are something called as hierarchical agents. So it's like, let's say there's an orchestration agent, and you have like different type of agents which does different type of roles. So be it like, let's say you have a HR department, or in a company you have different type of departments, so each and every department could be a different agent. And as soon as a user request is sent to this agent, it maybe can go into a orchestrator agent, and then the orchestrator agent can actually divide the task or send the task to a particular agent who can actually perform the task well. So these type of agents are called as hierarchical agents. They are they are sometimes called learning agents. So based on the results or based on the knowledge that it gains, it can self-learn and improve the system. So there's something called as utility-based agents. Let's say you have some set of tools, and this agent can choose those tools to get the best results out of the query. So maybe like, let's say you're asking for do a swap, or do a trading or something. So maybe it can choose the right tools out of whatever you provide, and based on that, it can make a decision to get the final output. So these are some of the AI agent types. So with this, of course, you can make lots of use cases. Maybe you can think, you might have seen the chatbots. You can create a AI chatbot. So for the AI chatbot, you can provide a behavior, how the character should be, how the person should react, like how should he talk? Maybe should he talk aggressively or in a normal tone? So you can provide these kind of behaviors to that, and you can also attach maybe the knowledge for that chatbot. So, and also create type of trading bot. Also have, these are some of the use cases of normal AI agents. So now, as we understood, like what's the AI agent do and how this AI agent can help in the Web3 part. So we know that Web3 is already like transparent and all that stuff. We already know some of the use cases that people could create, be it like maybe crypto, lots of dApps that people create. So now how can these agents help into the Web3 space? So some of the use cases were like you can create a personalized finance services. So for each and every person, there could be a personal assistant who can help you with the financial things. So it can understand how your portfolio should be, or how much risk that you can take. So based on that, it can provide you some kind of solutions. So you can create these type of applications, and maybe you can create some kind of decentralized governance, so where an agent can actually observe the decisions that is taken DAO, and then maybe it can actually provide the suggestions for improving the ecosystem. It can observe how the other ecosystems were doing, and it can suggest you for better enhancements or the decisions that it can consider. So these type of applications it'll also be helpful for you when you actually add the agents into a DAO. And you can also add into interoperable AI ecosystems, and it can be used in the AI Web3 identity and privacy. It can also provide for the risk and the fraud preventions, maybe like an agent who can observe the transactions, or maybe it can observe if there is any difference in the behavior of the transaction. So these types of things an agent could observe and help in the Web3 space. And it could be like lots of other use cases. So now we'll be going into the how we have used the agent in the Kaia ecosystem. So first, I would like to explain about the Kaia agent kit, which is like a base layer. So in the Kaia agent kit, we have all the tools. So currently we have implemented like Kaia scan, the Dragon swap, and some of the uh, like on-chain tools, like maybe ERC20 transfers or NFT transfers. You can also get the information of that. So these kind of tools that we have integrated in the base layer. And so as we already have these type of tools, now these tools can actually be integrated into any of the agentic frameworks. Like ELIZA is one of the frameworks, open source frameworks, LangChain, Versal AI. So when a user, and you can also provide the different type of characters that an agent could behave. So when a user tries to communicate with one of these agents, so based on the behavior of that agent, it could actually go and pick up the right tool for you. So in a simple terms, I think uh, I'll just explain the framework of the ELIZA, and then we can actually look at how the ELIZA framework works. So this is how the ELIZA framework flow is. Like an ELIZA is basically a open source AI agentic framework. So it provides different features. It has integrations with various type of tools. So for example, like one of the things are called as clients, where it communicates with all the social media, be it like it can be a user input as well. These are all called as clients. So it has this module of clients. So it already has integration with all of this. You might have seen the Twitter bots and all of this. So all these are configured on the client part, and it has something called as memory, so where all the previous conversations or the history, these are stored in the memory. So it can actually go back and look into the memory. For example, if you are the same person who is communicating back again, maybe the agent can go and look into the previous history, how you spoke, or maybe like whatever conversation you had before. It can go and look into the previous conversation, and based on that also it can respond you. So these type of memory information can store into different type of storages based on the configuration that you have. So these are the adapter modules, and there's something called as plugins. So on the left side, as you can see, these are all the AI models. So on a simple terms, this is like a framework where user provides kind of as- uh, he provides a query in a natural language, and then that natural language is converted and then communicated with this type of different tools, and finally sent to one of the LLMs, one of the language models, which can actually process it and then respond. It's kind of a prompt engineering, but it's organized in a way where you have the memory, where you have the client integrations. So you don't have to do the groundwork of how to integrate into a Slack, or how to integrate into a Twitter, or this kind of stuff. So this is already integrated with different type of LLM. You already have like ChatGPT APIs. You can use ChatGPT APIs. You can use Google APIs. So it already integrated with different sets of LLMs, which you can directly integrate with. And apart from that, you can also integrate any kind of tools. So this is the tools part. So let's say you have your own set of functions. Maybe get balance, or maybe like weather report, or be it like any kind of maybe bus booking or aeroplane booking. It could be like anything. So you have your own type of functions. You can always integrate that into the AI part. And there is something called as characters, where every character is a bot that you are interacting with, and you can also attach a kind of a behavior for that character and how the character should actually respond to you. So when the user tries to communicate with one of these characters, it tries to go and then it looks into the memory if there is anything, and it also checks for the tools that he has. Tools are just the functions that you have. So the function could be a normal API call, or be it like anything. So these are like normal functions. So each function could be blockchain calls, or it could be a normal database calls or anything. So it can directly go and then maybe call an API and give that kind of data. So these type of functions, and then once you have the functions ready and the data that it wants, and finally this entire data along with the query that the user asked, it's forwarded to the LLM. So now the LLM has all the knowledge or the context of whatever user is asking, and also the query that the user has. So it has a context and the user query. So this entire thing is sent to the LLM. So now LLM actually chooses thinks, and then it actually responds according to the query that user has with the context that it's already fed. So now it, with all this information, now the LLM takes the decision and then responds accordingly. So maybe like I'll just show you like maybe with the ChatGPT itself how this could behave. For example, like let's say you have some actions, like let's say maybe get balance, like let's say these are some of the functions. Get weather report, get Kaia price, something like this. So now let's say like user query is maybe what is today's weather report, something like this. Now based on about query, uh, call the function, or tell me the function, tell me action to be something like this. So now to the LLM, basically this type of structure is passed to the actual LLM, like ChatGPT APIs or be it like Google APIs. So now when the user asks a question, so this question along with the context, so I'm calling this as a context. And along with this context, maybe you can also provide the behavior of the chatbot, like the API to behave. Like for example, maybe this chatbot could actually be like a trader, analyst, or maybe you can actually provide the behavior or what's the character should look like, maybe how it should respond to you. So these kind of behavior also you can provide in the context. So as you can see here, we have provided some of the actions, maybe like these are some of the, let's say these are some of the functions. And then you got a query which is in a normal language, which is in plain English text. So based on this query, now the AI or the LLM is able to respond you to the right function it can trigger. So once you get this function, you can go and trigger that function. So this is how the basic structure works. Now, this kind of open source code, like Eliza, what they were doing is they are providing kind of a framework where you have this memory. So once you got this query, so these queries should be stored somewhere, right? So these queries now are stored in the databases. So this framework already has an integration with the database. You can choose whichever language model you have. Now here we just chose ChatGPT. Maybe if you just want to use like Google APIs, you can use Google APIs. Or if you have like OpenAPI, you can use OpenAPI in a similar way, like you can use any kind of LLMs. And the functions as well, like they could be like lots of functions which are exposed through various SDKs or various libraries. So these libraries you can directly plug into your code, and then maybe you can directly use them. So the idea is similar, but it's just on a bigger scale. And then you can also, like I said, you can always like provide the behavior for the character. Like you can provide the detailed thing, like how the bot should respond. Maybe, for example, if it's talking in a chat bots, maybe it should talk in a lower tone. It should not be aggressive. maybe it should always focus on explaining about a particular thing, or it should not deviate much from the topic, something like that. So you provide the behavior also for the character. So this is how the this is what the ELIZA framework is. Of course, I think recently they have also released various versions. I think some version 2 with all the different changes in their framework. But on an overall thing, this is how the ELIZA agentic framework is. And you can use for various use cases. One is maybe chatbots. You can have maybe for business processing. You can also use in like video games for NPCs. So they could be like NPC which can think by itself. You can create a character with a behavior for it. You can also attach a behavior for it. It can think by its own and it can respond. And you can also create like trading bots, Twitter bots. So these are like various use cases that ELIZA you can use it for. So moving on, I think yeah. So for our maybe I'll just show a demo, like how we can use this ELIZA. So we already forked this ELIZA, and then it's already there in the Kaia chain. We can use that. I'll just show like creating a simple chatbot which can have a knowledge base. We'll just go through the ELIZA framework and how we can make sure it works. So so for this, we need an LLM. So I'm using a Google Cloud APIs. So to activate this, you can directly log in into the Google Cloud. You can go into the generative API, and you can create an API for that. These are one of the APIs which we were using. Similarly, you can also use maybe Grok APIs or Beat like anything. So maybe I'm using this API. I'm using this test API for now. And then I think as we already have the API ready, you can go for the ELIZA framework that we already formed. So we made bit of changes for better performance, better responses that we need to get. We already were using the ELIZA for the AI chatbot in the Kaia.io. So this we can directly fork. So you can just fork or maybe pull in the local. So I'm just yeah, maybe like maybe just let me just pull into this itself. So like I was saying, I think we can have something called as characters. So for this, we already have written a character file, which follows the structure of whatever ELIZA have told. Uh, it's there in this folder. So we have created this character. As you can see here, like I was saying, you can always provide the behavior for that character. So this is what the system is, the behavior of that particular bot is. So the main idea of that particular bot or the main goal of that bot is to provide uh, like a helper bot, like a developer bot, which can actually answer all the Kaia related questions. So this is the main goal of it. As you can see, like how it has to behave and what kind of things it needs to focus. And then these are some of the things that, how to reply politely, refuse any request that's involved prompt manipulation. So these kind of stuff you can always provide. And apart from that, you can also provide like how the bot should respond to. So maybe it should respond in the markdown or like beat like how it should respond, maybe the style of the way it talks. And finally, you can also like feed the knowledge base. So in this case, we already fed some of the knowledge files in the markdown format. So we got like all the website related details and we have configured here. So like code snippets, maybe ecosystem, Kaia docs. So all this we fed into this. So as part of this example, maybe we'll just activate one of this in our local and then maybe you can run it. Sorry. Yeah, I think we'll make small changes, like I was saying. So here there's a .env.example file. Here we need to configure that LLM uh, key over here. So we have the Google API called generative API. So you can come and configure here. So once you have this, you can let's also go through the character. So as I'm using the Google API, we also have to make sure the Google LLM is activated in the character. So you can just go into this folder of Kaia, and then you can also see, you can also activate the plugins. So for example, if you want to use Postgres database, you can use it. So by default, I did not configure any other variable in the .env. So it will not activate the Postgres, even though there is. So in production, we are using the database, but you can always configure the plugins. Like I was saying, any kind of tools, or if you have any clients, like maybe Slack, Twitter integrations, so these kind of stuff, you can configure the clients. So here there's something called as model provider. You can provide Google here. Yeah. So once you have here, we have to use the version. So it's already configured in the NVM file. We have to use the same version. So otherwise it wouldn't work. So you have to use the same version. And once you have it, I think we'll just do a npm install. And then we also made few changes for the Eliza. So majorly like providing a rate limiter. So we also added like some of the code for providing rate limiters and some changes like not exposing all the APIs and all this stuff. We also have made like some changes into the bot responses. So whenever we query something, I think the tokenization, it's not like dividing the tokens properly and responding. I think we also have made like bit of changes in the ELIZA code as well. So once you have this one, I think we have to build it. So you can just run build. Oh, and I also forgot, I think so in this character file, so in the character file, we don't need to activate all the knowledge. So even though the entire knowledge is copied, maybe for this example, I just activate one of the knowledge file for us to test out, because I think it will take some time. So by default, as we did not activate any kind of Postgres, so here you can also configure the Postgres related keys or the environment variables. So as we did not configure any other API, the environment variables for the Postgres, so by default, it uses the SQLite. So it uses SQLite. So I'll just go here. I also clear out all the knowledge. So you can go here, maybe like clear out the entire knowledge. So I'll just activate the ecosystem. We'll see what's there in the ecosystem folder. So this is just a markdown file. So if you already have a website and if you want to create a chatbot, I think this is how you'll do it. So you can just convert that website into a markdown file. Be it like maybe you can use a website who can convert you, or you can manually, somehow like convert into a PDF or convert the PDFs into markdown. Like you can follow any kind of steps. There are some websites where you can directly give the URL for your website and it will download the entire markdown into a markdown files. So I think markdowns are a bit clearer than the PDFs or any other formats. So it's better you kind of feed the knowledge into a markdown file. So this is like markdown, as you can see, related to Kaya, we have converted like some of the important ecosystem tools or the partners into this file. So we have provided all the infrastructure here, some of the bridges here, oracles. So this is like the entire information, like some of the information we got from the website and we have put it here. So now so once you have it, now you need to run the character file. So for this, you can just go here. So all the steps are already there in the README as well. Yeah, once you build it, you can directly run with your character file. So we have the character file in the characters folder. So once you run the build, we are copying all those things into the character folders. And then we can directly run this file with this command. So npm start characters. And then you can provide the character file. So as you can see here, it's trying to load this MDX file and all the content in it into a local database, which is SQLite. So you can find that SQLite as well in the agent folder. So here db.sqlite is that database where the entire knowledge is loaded into. Yeah. So in the meanwhile, yeah. So now the API is ready. So now we have the API ready. So now it's by default, it runs on 3000. So you can directly go here and you can look for health. And you can also get the list of all the agents that we are running. So now we are running only one character file, which we are calling it as agent. So you can get the list of agents that we are running. So this is the agent. We already gave the agent name. And then this is the agent ID. So we already have one of the chatbot UIs as well, which is created for Kaia. You can also use that. So it's also there in the open source code. You can directly go here and look for chat. So this is a chat UI. So it's already published in the Node.js in the npm. So you can always get this one, use it in your React.js. Suppose let's say you want to just use in your front end. So you can directly go here. Also, I think there's a small change that we have to do. So there's something called as rate limiter. Yeah, maybe I'll just show you that. Yes. Yeah, so I created an example folder here itself with a chat UI. You can directly go here with the chat UI. As you can see here, I think, sorry. As you can see here, we got a chat bot here. So before this, we also need to configure the chat. We also need to configure the character ID. So the ID of the agent, we have to copy it, and then you can directly go into the example, which we already have for the chat UI. And you can also directly provide that ID into that. So here you can find the example folder. So as you can see, we are calling the API, which is 3000, which is the API of the ELIZA. And then you can provide the agent ID here. So you can name whatever you want just to show in the UI. So this is how it is. And let's also see if there are any CORS issue. Yeah. As you can see, this response we got from the ELIZA itself. This is the response that we got from the ELISA. So suppose now, let's say we were asking a question related ecosystem. Can you name some articles? So this data, as you can see, this Oracle network and then the Pit network is part of the Kaia ecosystem. So the Oracle and the Pit network supports Kaia related feeds. So this information we are getting from the ELISA knowledge base that we already added. So in the knowledge that we already have, so this is the knowledge, right? So in the knowledge in the ecosystem, we have this entire context. So now this context is copied, or it's actually stored in the database. Now, as soon as a person provides a query, it goes and looks into the database via something called as like vectors. It does a embedded vector search, and then maybe it gets a similar or nearby related responses. So it extracts the responses from that database in an intelligent way. And once it has that responses, now along with the character behavior. So these are like some of the responses that we got from the database. So all these responses are now like put it together along with the character behavior and then the query from the user. So now this entire data is actually fed into the LLM. So now the LLM, based on the question in the context, it actually responds the data, whatever we saw here. So this data is getting from the LLM, but actually this data, to get this data, the query and then the context that we have in the database. So this entire thing is fed into the LLM. So this how, I mean, we can use the ELISA. So we are already using this chatbot in our Kaia.io and even in the docs. Can go here. I think you can see this bot that we are using. I think it's just the same code, but it's we are using in a production deployment, maybe with Kubernetes and all, but it's just the same thing that we were using. So as you can see here, I think this is just a local data that I already had, but you can always clear out and maybe you can just communicate. Similarly, we are also using in the paradox. Yeah, that's the same. So in this way, you can always like spin up your own chatbot with whatever knowledge you want to feed into this. Have a UI like this, and maybe like you can always spin up these kind of applications. Now I would like to show like some of the tools that I have explained. So the Kaia agent kit, like I was saying, we have some of the tools, some of the functions. So Kaia is also there in the GitHub of Kaia chain. So it just mentions like what kind of functions we are providing for Dragonswap, Web3, and some of the Kaia scan related APIs. So I like to show this one in another framework called Wordcell. So we can follow the Wordcell AI related code. So for this, I already added the example within the Kaia agent kit itself. Can go into the examples and you can actually trigger this example for the Wordcell. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this, clone this entire code. I'll just close this previous line. So that's how the ELISA framework is. You can also plug in the same tools that I'm going to explain now into ELISA. So the now ELISA you can use for like various use cases. Most of the use cases, even the web, in the YouTube, you can see majorly the Twitter agent related use cases. And there are also like some of the workshops that they are provided. You can always go through that to improve your knowledge on it. So that's how the ELISA part is. Now we are focusing on the virtual to just demo you how the tools of the Kai agent kit works. So like I was explaining, we already have some of these functions and you can write whatever functions you want. So we'll just try to clone it and we'll try to set up in our local. make sure you are using the same version, no version, whatever it's already mentioned within the project. So you can directly go into the examples. Yeah, I already have yeah, I think you can just set the NVM of the root itself. The examples. Now you have virtual. So for this example of virtual, so we are trying to use this agent kit into it and then maybe trigger the functions. So like I was saying, when the user asks a question in a simple language, it actually converts and then provide entire context into the LLM. Now LLM decides which function is nearer to the query that user asks, and it will trigger based on that. So for this, I'll just show you the package which is already there. So in the package.json, this agent kit is already installed, or like it's already plugged in. So as soon as you install this and then run it, I think it should work as it is. It's just that you have to configure the environment variables. So for this, like I was mentioning, it also needs LLM. So in this example, we're going to use the same Google API itself. So I'm just going to clone this, rename. And if you want to provide like interact with any kind of on-chain related things, then you can also provide the valid private key and also the RPC provider URL as well. So here we are going to provide everything, but I'll show you like some of the functions which we can trigger from the Kaia scan API. So we're going to configure all of this environment variables now. So first configure the LLM, which is the core part. And for private keys, like for some dummy private key, you can always go to the toolkit of Kaia. And then you can go here, generate a private key. You can always copy this. And for reference, I'll also provide the public key over here. And also get some balance. So yeah, you can also get some balance if you're trying to interact with anything. So currently I'm just showing the Kaia scan related APIs. So we don't need to add the balance, but if you want to get the balance, you can also go to faucet and you can get the balance from the faucets. So, and then you need an RPC URL if you want to provide, if you want of on-chain related things. For this, you can directly go to the docs. So I'm providing the testnet RPC URL. And then finally, the Kaia API. Yeah, we just created for this demo. I think you can just go log in into your account and then you can create an API. So mostly like they are free APIs with some limits. I think you can always use. So I'm just configuring the APIs. So now I'll just tell you like what exactly the Versal AI provides you. So Versal AI is also like open source library. So it provides you a kind of a chat UI along with this kind of streaming, and it also provides you a conversational bot for you. So this already like they already provide you all of these libraries so that you can directly integrate into any of your Next.js or React.js projects. Yeah. Here I think, yeah, current usage, I think mainly we are using for the Versal AI, we are using for the Kaia agent kit to activate and go and communicate with the tools that we have in the ecosystem. So the main core logic is in this API folder and then the route.ts. So yeah, as you can see here, I think I'm just plugging in the Kaia scan related environment variable. But if you want to plug in any other variables which is related to which is related to on-chain activities, maybe you can also plug in the private key and stuff. So in this use case, I'm mainly using the Kaia scan related API, which is plugged in into this. And if you want any kind of wallet related interactions, like I was mentioning, the RPC provider and the wallet private keys provided. And finally, as you can see, plugin that we are using. So this get on-chain tools, which is provided by the Goat SDK for the virtual AI. So this for these tools, it needs all the plugins that we can list in. For like I was saying, these are like all the functions that you want for the to integrate into the AI, where the user can query and then it looks into all the tools. So this is the Kaya package we have. It provides like some set of tools. They could be like some other company related package, which you can also plug in. So with the help of this one, it activates all the tools that Kaya or the Kaya agent kit has. And finally, with all the tools, I think this tool is plugged in into this stream text, whatever, I think which is provided by the virtual AI. And then it also tells you like what kind of model has to be used. Of course, there could be like different models you can try out, which has a thinking models and different type of models with pricing. And as you can see here, these are the tools that we are plugging in. And these are the messages where the query is coming from the user. So these are like, these are main thing. Yeah, I think once we have this ready, all the yeah, once we run this, I think it just provides you a simple chatbot in the UI where you can communicate and then you can trigger the tools that we configured here. So currently I give empty packages, which means that all the packages are activated here. But if you want a specific package for the Kaya agent kit, you can always pass in that specific package. So there's a package enum. Into this enum, we activated like Web3, Kaya scan, so all these APIs. So you can always like activate only those kind of tools that you want. So once we have this ready, I think you can just go here. So you just need to run into dev mode. Yeah, so it's serving on 3000. So I was mentioning, it gives you a chat UI for you. And let's just communicate with this AI bot here. Yeah, so we got the response from the AI, and now you can ask some of the questions related to the tools. Kaya Scan in the AI agent kit, it provides you the tools for getting the Kaya price and maybe like getting the latest blogs. So these kind of information, I think you can look for like different tools that are there in the GitHub. So like these are different functions. So currently we activated only the Kaya Scan because we plug Kaya Scan related key into the tool. So currently we activated this. Maybe we can ask like some of the questions which is related to maybe like block price. Can you give me Kaya price? So now as soon as we ask a question, it tries to get the context, which is like all the tools information, it tries to get it, and also the query. So now both the tools and the query is passed to the LLM. So now the LLM decides which is the function it has to trigger. And finally, it will trigger that function and give you the response. So you can integrate any kind of APIs, be it like even on-chain activities. It could be like anything. So now similarly, I think you can maybe ask like, can you tell me uh, latest block? on Kaia network. Yeah, something like this. Can you give me ERC20 tokens list, or maybe like balance of this address on Kaia network? Because I configured like Kaia and Kairos networks. So as you can see here, it tries to give all the fungible tokens. So list of all the ERC20s. So similarly, you can ask for like NFTs and all of this. So like I was showing here with the natural language, when a user enters a query, it tries to, with the context, of course, with the tool's context that he has, it tries to send to the LLM, and LLM chooses that particular tool, which is near to the query, and then the actual function is triggered. So in this way, you can use the Kaia agent kit, which has like some of the features, some of the basic features right now, but it could be extended to like whatever you want, and maybe you can create a trading bot out of this and choose whatever functions you want. Maybe the trading bot, if it chose to go and buy USDT, maybe it can go and buy, sell whenever it wants. So these type of activities you could create, you can attach a behavior, maybe using like frameworks like ELIZA, N8N. So these kind of frameworks, maybe you can create a behavior for the character and take the decisions accordingly for the external data. Maybe it could communicate with external data. Maybe if the price goes up, maybe take some decisions out of that. So this is what the Versal AI looks like with the integration with the Kaia jacket. I think that's what I would like to demo for this. And of course, for the the developer bot or the chat bot I've shown you on the website, which we integrated into the Kaia.io and then docs. Similarly, we also have created like some of the other bots, other agents, which is mainly for like some research work, which is currently used for the internal purpose itself. Like maybe when you search for the agent, you can see here we have created like two agents. One is analytics. So majorly it goes and gets the reports from the Dune analytics. And then based on that, it summarizes and tells, whether how is the weekly report and all that stuff. And similarly, we have something called a research agent. So where it goes into the Delphi related reports. Delphi is a research website where it goes there every day. If there are any new reports, it goes there, it searches, and it also summarizes the entire report into a simple format. So like currently our internal teams, our research teams and all this, people are using these agents in the company itself. This is what I would like to show as part of this session. And if you have any questions, we can go into that. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Praveen. I'm back. Yeah, so I think I must have you answered the question in chat, Praveen? Sorry.
No, no, no. I'm just going through that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we do have a question in chat. If you are brave enough, we actually do very much prefer it if you ask your question live to us. We will allow you to speak, but we'll answer Joseph's question in the meantime. Can our database be stored on decentralized storage like Pinata or IPFS support? And is it efficient this way to Postgres and others?
Yeah. I don't know whether ELIZA is providing the decentralized storages, because mainly I think the database here, it's mainly used for storing the memory, like the history of whatever the conversation you had. That's one. And second thing is like the ELIZA framework. For example, in this case, ELIZA framework, which I'm talking about, they're also using for conversation for maintaining a room. For example, let's say just like a chatbot rooms, you can create your own room and then maybe communicate among the people whoever joined in that room. So it has the context of that room. So for every room, there is a room ID. So this kind of information is also stored in the database. Similarly, apart from this, there's also something called there's also a RAG system. for the easy retrieval of the documents. So for the knowledge base that we are providing, I think it will feed into the database. So it's not fed in a normal way. It's called something like it's actually divided into something called as embeddings. Maybe I'll just like quickly.
Yeah, Praveen, he did have a follow-up message. It meant he wanted to fetch the
Yeah,
API from Pinata.
yeah, I think you can always do that because, like I was saying, you can create your own function, your own plugins. You can you can write an API. You can call weather API. You can write your own functions. I think you can do it. Yeah. There are lots of plugins which already Eliza has, and if it doesn't have this kind of API, you can quickly do it. Like how we have done for the Kaia plugin. Similarly, I think you can do it for whatever you want. Yeah, I think it should be like very easy thing.
Yeah, absolutely. If there are, maybe I'll give it a bit of like maybe 2, 3 more minutes for people to type in their questions if there are any. Oh, he got it. Yeah. If there are any more questions from chat, I'll give maybe 1, 2 more minutes. In the meantime, I think I can go about and do some quick announcements. Uh, so I think, as everyone knows, we have had a very strict attendance policy requirement for participation in the hackathon, which was about 90% attendance. However, in the interest of people who are unable to make it and are still actively participating, which is why we also did re-allow people to submit the assignments for people who were late. In the interest of those people, and for the interest of people who are here live, I'm going to just announce that we are removing the attendance requirement. Instead, we are focusing solely on the assignments. So we would like everyone here to focus solely on the assignments. Essentially, we want you all to be improving. We want you all to be showcasing that, from the very first one to the very last one, that you've made progress. And I think it shows with some of the assignments that have already been submitted. So we would like to prioritize people who are actively participating and not who are actively submitting the assignments and who are still watching the videos, because honestly, without watching the videos, it will be a bit confusing, some of the assignments. So yeah, just a quick announcement that we are removing the attendance requirement and replacing it with a submissions requirement. So instead of attending 90% of all sessions, which is honestly a bit hard because that only means you can miss only one session, which can be a bit difficult for some people. Even for me personally, in my university, we at least allowed people to miss out maximum two when I was in university at least. So yeah, so instead, I think it's a bit harsh, a bit difficult. So instead, we are removing it, replacing it with the submissions requirement. So you will need to have submitted all of the assignments so far. Or I think, how many of them were there? 4 or 5 submissions, I believe there was. Let me just do a quick check. Yep. Yeah, so there were 4 assignments in total. And I know that some of them are a bit easier than the others. So what we'd like you to do is you have until this Friday at 9 o'clock West African time. I know Ahu didn't put it in the message, but it is 9 o'clock West African time. So that's UTC plus 1, I think. Yeah, so UTC plus 1 to submit all the assignments. Yes, yes, the recordings will be available soon. As I mentioned previously in all the previous bootcamp lessons, it is about 10 o'clock my time right now. So I will try my best to get it uploaded by early tomorrow morning, because the thing is with Zoom, the recording isn't available right after the um, right after the session ends. It takes a bit of time um, to to be available. Yeah, yeah. And can you please list out all the assignments and so we are sure we didn't miss anything? Yeah, absolutely. So there is a message from AO on Bootcamp General on the Discord listing out all four submissions, all four tasks. So if you go over there, I think what I'll do is I'll pin it as well, really quickly. Yeah. So I've just pinned the assignment deadline is listed in the message as well. It's pinned. But it is this Friday, July 11th at 9 p.m. West African time. So that's UTC plus one. Yeah. So it's all there. So you have four assignments. So I don't think there is no assignment for this lesson. So this lesson has very little impact on the assignments. So I'd recommend completing the assignments there. And obviously, as per usual, please use the same emails you've been using for all the bootcamp stuff so far so that we can easily track. Also, another quick announcement, the second announcement I have is regarding the hackathon. So as you all know, the reason we are changing the requirement is also because we want as many people to participate in hackathon as possible. So if as long as you submit all four tasks and they are decent tasks, you're not submitting random codes of garbage, right? I think they have to be at least decent lines of code, right? Some of the assignments you can't just, I mean, I suppose you could ChatGPT it, but uh, you know, they're not really random snippets of code. Yeah, so as long as they are proper code snippets, you will be eligible for hackathon. So all four tasks, and we will have a kickoff session next Monday for the hackathon. So preferably everyone should be there. Don't worry, a recording will be available as well for those who are unable to make it. But obviously, live sessions are what we have prioritized so far in the past 5-6 weeks of doing this bootcamp. So essentially, we will have a kickoff session where we will announce a bunch more things. Yeah. So it will be at the usual time at 9 o'clock around this time. So about 2 p.m. West African time, 9 o'clock Singapore, and 10 p.m. Korean time. Same time, but it'll be next Monday. Um, I'll let the group know of any changes, but tentatively we are looking at 14th of July at 2 p.m. West African time for everyone to attend. I will be posting an announcement when the time comes. The next and as well as the final lesson of the boot camp, it will be live streamed. So keep in mind when you are typing in chat or whatever, the comments will be streamed live to, on our Twitter as well as YouTube. Excuse me. So just keep in mind, try to keep things a bit more PC. I know nobody really chatted today, but yeah, try to keep things a bit more PC for the public chats because we want to make sure that the bootcamp participants, you guys are, well versed in everything. Yeah. So like I said, the next session will be live streamed to everyone, like not just internally to us, but to the wider Kaia audience on our Twitter as well as YouTube. It will be hosted by Neil. I think you're all familiar. He did lesson 2 as well as our head of ecosystem, Ashwani. I'm not sure, I don't think you guys have met him, but I think if you've been to some of the conferences, you see him around. They will go through the ecosystem, the whole, like in terms of the job prospects in Web3, as well as looking at what we can look forward to after you guys finish bootcamp. Because I'm not sure this was announced, or maybe it was. There is a limited edition POAP for those that have completed all the assignments and for those that are participating in hackathon. So there is a limited edition like NFT as a certification to show that you guys have completed the bootcamp. So yeah, if there's nothing, yeah, so those are all my announcements. Do you have any final words, Praveen, for them?
Yep. Tasks, please use the AI. Yeah,
Sorry?
please also use the AI as one of friends. Yeah, I'm
Yes,
just
AI
saying
is your
for
friend
the
here.
assignments. Yeah. For the assignments, please make use of the AI, maybe as the best of its potential. And also, I think it will also be able to help for you to explain the things if you are stuck at anything. Maybe as a first go, I think you just go to the chat GPT or any kind of AI, go communicate with it, understand to a certain level. And of course, if you're still stuck, I think we are always there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as Praveen showed, even we use ChatGPT in our AI in our daily workload as well, like Kaia. So no shame there. I know I've been joking or using ChatGPT to submit stuff, but it's honestly a joke. Yeah. So yeah, I think we can leave it there as is. I will see ask us to submit. Yes, lesson 7, you have to submit on Discord as well. I think lesson 7 was a code base thing. Like you have to deploy something on ERC20 on testnet. Yeah. So yeah, you can submit that to I think Bootcamp General. Just submit the link. Yeah, then we'll take note of it as well. Yeah. So absolutely. So yeah, if there's nothing else, I think we can just leave it here. I will see you all on Thursday for the last lesson of the bootcamp. With Neo and Ashwani. I think this probably won't be the last you'll see of Praveen, but he will be in chat if ChatGPT fails to answer your questions. You know, which it's quite rare, but if they fail to answer your questions, you can always ask it in the bootcamp questions channel on Discord. And we will be as quick to respond as possible. Please do give us like at least a day to respond. Yes, regarding the links for it is I might be able to remove that requirement. Yeah, so unfortunately it is a bot wide, it is a server wide thing. Like I can't, maybe I could, I don't know. I can't necessarily remove the URL links because we are afraid of spam. So yeah, yeah, don't type the HTTPS on your link, just copy paste the URL thing without HTTPS. We'll figure it out ourselves. Yeah, on Discord. Yeah. So for lesson 7, yes. So if there's nothing else, without further ado, I think we can just end it here. Thank you all for attending live sessions. I know some people have already dropped off. But yeah, if if there are no further questions and there's no further clarification to be made, you can always ask if there are any questions that come up before the start of next session. You can always ask in Discord. And yeah, if there's nothing else, I think we can just end it here. Okay. See you all on Thursday at the same time. And yeah, we'll take care, everyone. Bye.